Welcome to the Overt Thinking podcast, where today we're going to teach you how to filter through information like a pro and determine whether information is legit or shit. But first, we're going to play our favorite little game called This or That. And today, we're going to kick it off with a simple question for us millennial girlies, gays and theys. Would you rather have Taylor Swift write a breakup song about you or have Eminem write a diss track about you?
Ooh, that's tough because they're both pretty vicious. Like Taylor Swift, I feel like seems sweet and innocent until you like are a Swiftie and listen to all her words. Eminem is just like smart and cruel, but like in an awesome kind of way.
It's just like straight fire flames to the dome when it's Eminem.
On both sides.
Well, yeah. I actually would say I would rather have a diss song because I think that would almost be better for me than a breakup song.
For sure. My favorite is like, did you ever hear the MGK Eminem diss tracks going back and forth?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The only thing that MGK said back was like, your beard is weird, and Eminem just like dunked on him. It was embarrassing.
Yeah. So I think Kelsie roast for your birthday next year.
I love it. I think I'm picking... I don't know. I think I'm going to pick Eminem diss track, and here's why. Because I don't think Eminem has as many followers like Taylor Swift. Like Taylor Swift has a whole revolution. And so you have like an army of people that are looking for you and to like throw shade your way. Whereas like Eminem, it's just a small niche of like hip hop appreciators.
Yeah, I think that's a very sound argument. To be honest, I stay with what I said.
I'm scared of both.
I'm scared of both, but I'm more scared of the breakup song. So let's just start with the diss track.
Which has nothing to do with our topic today, but we like to like break the ice a little bit. So let's talk about something we all deal with, and that's misinformation. We live in a time where any answer we want is right at our fingertips, and at the same time, literally everyone thinks they're an expert.
And the loudest experts are usually the ones who are hit the hardest by the Dunning-Kruger effect. And if you don't know what that is, it's a cognitive bias where people think they know way more than they actually do.
Yeah, and most of the time, it's not even malicious. A lot of people just want to feel valuable in a field that they're interested in. Like, for example, I've been playing this online shooter game, and I finally clawed my way out of the depths into a higher rank, and now I'm thinking, damn, I'm kind of good at this.
But are you?
I mean, I have no clue how good the real top tier players are, but I think I'm great. But I don't actually have the knowledge to back that up.
And that's how misinformation spreads. So people overestimate their expertise, and that happens constantly in health and fitness. That's basically why we started this podcast.
Yeah. So a real world example is something like I've seen a ton of personal trainers, or an example, a chiropractor gets really into women's hormones. Cool. Love that they're interested. We love like learning about women's health and our bodies. But here's the issue. They probably haven't done actual academic work required to give legitimate medical advice.
And that doesn't mean they're bad at their job, right? A trainer can be amazing at strength programming. A chiropractor can be amazing at adjustments, but neither of them are endocrinologists.
Exactly. So when they start making broad claims about hormones, like your cortisol is so high, that's why you can't lose weight, or they give advice around birth control, they're skipping a ton of nuance. And worse, it might stop someone from getting the real medical care they need, as well as undermining professionals who invest so much time and money and effort into research in their fields.
And that's the theme today. I'm so excited to hear your takes on the questions we have coming up. But sometimes misinformation isn't always wrong, but it can be incomplete, it can be misleading, and it can be oversimplified.
All right, so let's talk about one of the biggest misinformation machines right now, which is wellness influencers.
Yeah, so this term is just meaning people who sharing their health journeys, but now it's kind of a red flag.
Yeah, a lot of these influencers fall hard into the Dunning-Kruger trap. They watch a few YouTube videos, cherry pick studies, and suddenly they're self-declared experts on gut health, hormones, or weight loss.
And typically these fitness influencers, they sound really confident, the information feels good, they've got great video, but then that makes people trust them. But feeling good doesn't always mean that the information that they're sharing is true, even if it's presented in a way that you connect with.
So how do we actually tell if something is legit or straight up shit? Start by asking yourself, First, this question: does the information that you're being presented trigger a strong emotional response? For example, fear, anger, hope, even despair. These are powerful marketing tools, and that doesn't mean emotional content is always false, but it should make you stop and think.
Okay, and then step number 2, then ask, is this person an actual expert? And do they have legit credentials in this field? Are they doing original research or just repackaging ideas? This can get tricky because a lot of times we learn a lot from our own experience, but that can't be the only thing that influencers are basing their claims off of.
Yeah, like nuance matters, right? I think coming from that, like we have to ask, okay, if they are an expert or they're presented as an expert, do they have something to gain from you believing what they're saying? Are they selling a supplement or program? And does their like business and livelihood depend on you believing this information?
And has this information been fact checked? Do other respected experts in the field agree? Are there peer reviewed or systematic reviews to back it up?
Which actually, I want to touch on that. Let's talk about research, quote unquote, real quick. The phrase, I did my own research, literally makes me cringe and gets thrown around so much, but what does that actually mean?
It means you're scrolling on TikTok.
Guilty. But real research actually means looking at high quality sources. Some journals, while they may look like a highly reputable source, aren't all held at the same regard. Sources of information have classifications based on originality and proximity to the source. For example, things like a randomized controlled trial, which are the gold standard of studies in science, are a form of primary research. And if you don't know what a randomized controlled trial is, it generally means there's a placebo group and a blind group on both sides. So the researchers are blind and the participants are blind. So you have a controlled set of biases. Doesn't mean they're perfect. They are just typically the gold standard. Whereas something like a systematic review or meta-analysis are considered some of the best sources to gather information because they provide a comprehensive and unbiased summary of all available evidence on a given topic. This is in contrast to something like, say, a narrative review, when you will get more bias and cherry-picked information.
Okay, so how is someone to find the most accurate research if they have a certain topic that they want to learn more about, or if they saw something on social media that's making them a little confused?
Yeah, that's really hard because scientific literacy is not really a skill that we're granted throughout even just a basic undergraduate degree, and honestly, even into a master's program. Like, I learned the most in my master's program, and I am still far from being able to validate and assess research studies. But what we as regular consumers of the internet can do is start by just Googling the topic that you're interested in. For example, let's just say CBD and recovery. If you want to know if CBD has any effect or benefit to athletic performance or recovery or whatever, just use that as an example. So you'll say, Google CBD recovery and PubMed and systematic reviews / meta-analysis. And it's important to have all the search terms that you want, and you have to put and between there so that you get a cumulative review of exactly what you're looking for. And it may not come up as anything, like maybe the research hasn't looked into that topic yet, but you're most likely to get an answer if you start there.
And science does evolve too. We're in a really cool time right now where a lot of research is coming out, particularly about health and fitness. And so you can even specify in your ChatGPT prompt to show you research like from a certain year and sooner. You can also customize your ChatGPT prompt to say, show me all the research studies from either PubMed or systematic reviews that support this specific claim. And you can see and cross-reference from different research studies to see, is that claim supported across different reviews, or is it just this one influencer saying it and there actually hasn't even been any research done about it?
Yeah. And I think the unfortunate part about science is that a lot of times you're going to get spit out answers that might sound like there's not enough research at this time yet. Like there might be a small effect or a small benefit, but we don't have enough research at this time.
And that's kind of where we'll lead into our red flag conversation. I mean, it is a massive, massive red flag just to be on social media at all, let alone, these big, bold claims to certain things. And I'd love to hear your hot take on, just what some of these claims are, how influencers do it, and then how we can, the red flags to look out for.
So some of the big warning signs to me are any extreme claims that make you feel like you've been lied to or go against the status quo. So something like doctors don't want you to know this secret type of thing. That could be around vaccines. That could be around birth control. It could be around so many things. Anything that goes against the grain ignores nuance and oversimplifies a really complex topic.
Yeah, and I think like these extreme claims where it's like the doctor don't want you to know this type of secret thing, it just creates this disconnect between the influencer and then what we our entire lives have treated as authority, doctors, professionals. And so if an influencer with 1 million followers but no medical experience is telling you need to be taking this hormone supplement, this adrenal mend, or else your hormones will take a shit, you have to think twice. Does it mean that what they're saying is wrong? No. I mean, maybe what they're selling is great, but that's where you take it to ChatGPT, take it to Google, make sure there is actually research that is trusted supporting this claim, and then go back and I would scroll around because there's a couple more red flags that we want to give you.
There's so many things that I have to say on this topic, and supplements are some of the worst offenders, specifically around, like, there's so much just bullshit marketing. For example, quote unquote, third-party testing. A lot of supplement companies will advertise this, or GMP certified. Like, GMP certified is like one of the only somewhat valid certifications that something can have, but third-party tested doesn't really have any legality towards it. And actually, NSF certification is the only independent, actually third-party tested organization that offers true testing of dietary supplements. Unfortunately, in the, I believe it was the 90s, don't quote me on that, the FDA, and actually the public, lobbied against supplement regulations because of lawsuits. So we shot ourselves in the foot back in the day. And if you look up DSHEA, DSHEA, it's an act that basically omits the consumer's right to, or sorry, I should say the supplement company's requirement to provide information and research to back up their claims.
And you are successfully going off the rails. We really could spend a lot of time talking about this. I certainly know you could. But let's just talk about what's the right way to proceed. The hard way is the easy way. So I'm going to tell you, we're going to talk a little bit about what actually works. I know we can do a lot of our research. There's new and fun supplements that come out all the time. There's all this like very clickbaity stuff. And that is literally what social media thrives on. So again, the hard way is the easy way. So strength train 3 to 5 times a week. Eat a balanced diet. Balanced, like we talked about in our last episode, is a balance among protein, carbs, fat, fiber. Limit your alcohol to an appropriate level that supports your balance of living your fullest life, but also your best life. Manage stress and sleep. And so with managing sleep, we aim for about 7 hours of sleep per night. And managing stress means that you have some tried and true down regulation technique that really does support you into getting into a parasympathetic state. And then my favorite to talk about is NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So this is the metabolic process that your body goes through when you're moving and jumping and even just like blinking.
Doing casual activity.
Yeah, not jumping. Yeah. Casual activities, non-exercise, like blinking and fidgeting and getting up to go to the bathroom throughout the day. This also includes, going for a leisurely walk.
This is definitely not accurate, but I've always been convinced that I'm like so small because I'm a fidgety person. Like I cannot sit still.
No, that's like actually truly proven. And honestly, that could be an episode for a later topic. But
it has nothing to do with genetics. It's just because I'm fidgety.
Yeah. Do you have ADHD and are you more genetically primed or psychologically primed to be lean?
Yes.
No. So those are kind of our top 5. And
the truth is, though, what is difficult about this is that it takes patience, nuance, and an incredible amount of discipline, and it takes a fierce level of responsibility. And this discipline and responsibility is married to a commitment to yourself and a constant remembering of why you're doing what you're doing. And
especially when the hardest part could be that some of these patterns you want to change are tied to your identity. They're tied to habits and, routines that have been deeply woven into the fabric of your life. And so if going out is a core part of your life, that's a hard thing to change overnight. And so we're not asking you guys to not seek the magic pill, but it's something that you have to take with a lot of curiosity and trust sources and also trust yourself. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. And if you take 1 or 2 steps to just do a little bit of research, things will feel a lot clearer. I have so many people in clients or in my DMs just asking like, oh, should I take this supplement? Should I take that?
So many.
And my first question to them is like, what are you trying to solve?
Yeah.
And what's the hole in your diet or in your lifestyle that's making you want to spend the extra $50, $70, $100 on this thing for a 30-day supply?
Yeah. Like if you have the bonus income to just take some supplements that might be medium at best, okay, we can talk about that. But I'd much prefer someone address dietary habits first. I would much rather get you active. There's so many other broad strokes that I'd rather get to before we touched on some small players like supplements.
And I think there are some supplements just happens to be the worst offender, so we keep going to that. But there are a lot of other claims that people talk about, or even documentaries. Documentaries can be the worst. And let me just have a 5-minute tangent on this, because when Game Changers came out, it was that documentary on veganism. It was very well produced, very well funded, and it presented as very well researched. The downside of a documentary, the upside for the people who put it out is that it's exposed to everyone. And what is the most common thing that all people do is watch Netflix. So when
that we were in sync on that.
Yeah, our harmonizing is getting good. When it's so presented to you right there, and Netflix does a great job of putting things that they want you to see up in front, especially when you pay them a lot of money, it's really hard to ignore it. And even as a fitness professional at that time when it came out, even I was kind of like, oh, this seems interesting. Like there's some truth to that. Okay, I could see that. And I have a trained ear and eye to sift through bullshit. And one of
That's the perfect time. You could just be like, okay, let me go work this out. Vegetarian diets and health outcomes and PubMed and systematic reviews. Like that's where you take it to Google and find out like, what does the research actually say? Is it better? What's the context?
And the context was really important in one particular study. And this is an example of how things can get so convoluted. Is they took this study, or they presented this experiment of 4 high school athletes, baseball players, who they fed a vegan or vegetarian diet for, I think it was like 4 to 6 weeks. They took their labs before, like upon starting the study, and then after. Of course, all of their labs skyrocketed through the roof. Everyone's celebrating. Great job. Veganism saves the day. Well, the reality is that these kids were eating fast food. They're high school kids who have...
I'm pretty sure I lived off Taco Bell in high school.
But even still, what it doesn't show is that these kids are from a very underserved community where all they had was access to minimally or maximally processed foods and minimally nutrient dense foods.
Yeah.
And so after this study, you see these kids get so excited and they're like, I'm going to go be vegan. And these kids are not taught in high school to eat animal protein, eat a balanced diet, and they maybe don't even have access. So now we're taking this claim that veganism is going to save the day for everyone, where taking one step in the vegan, more nutritionally inclusive diet approach, it's going to make these kids look better, move better, play better, everything. And so as an adult, and as we look at some of these studies, the most important thing
they probably didn't measure other metrics either.
Yeah, and the thing for you to do is look at what you're doing and make sure that when you are starting something new, that you have metrics, one, to base off of, but also two, that at the end of the day, when you're looking at these biases, you have to see, oh, these kids were eating all processed foods, probably weren't sleeping, eating as much, and now that they're just locked into a certain thing, right? These kids were given a meal plan, they were given structure, so now everything else is going to get better and better and better too, because they're like, well, if I'm taking all the effort to eat this certain way, maybe I'll sleep an extra hour. Maybe I'll have a little bit more water with my meal. There's just more intentionality behind it too. So again, some of these studies aren't necessarily bad, but it does beg the question, who's being fed this information? What do we do with it? And then how can we share that to other people too?
Yeah, totally. And I always say be skeptical, but being skeptical doesn't mean being closed-minded. It means staying in control. And when we say critical thinking, that doesn't mean reject information. That means try to search for that context like you're talking about.
Yeah, and the sharper your critical thinking muscle is, the less likely you're going to fall to some of this nonsense because you're going to be able to sniff it out way better.
So the next time a wellness influencer makes a wild claim, ask yourself, is it designed to trigger an emotional reaction? Are they actually qualified to speak on this? Are they trying to sell you something? And has this been fact-checked by a legitimate source or multiple sources?
And the most important thing is, is it passing your vibe test? Mm-hmm. Your vibe test does matter. So if the answer is no to all of these things, congrats. Then you just probably dodged some misinformation and probably some dollar bills are going to stay in your pocket.
And that's real power.
And thanks for tuning in. Next episode, we're going to be talking all about setting boundaries and why you need to stop apologizing for everything.
Honestly, it's annoying. Stop it.
And until next time.
Bye.